with all of my additional information and the answer I'm going to show you right now. But I will put it up again at the end of this presentation. You should be able to scan that in once again at the end there. So don't worry if I pull it out from under your feet there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started. I'll introduce myself. My name is Darryl Bedford. I work at a small school in central London. Now, my school is a school for deaf students. I have a whole range of deafness, and really, a lot of the techniques that I've used with them are very universal. And I've talked to so many people in the audience today. Welcome to all of you, all at different types of levels. And really, I've been working with all levels in different schools, in primary schools, in mainstream schools. So these techniques I have proven to be universal. Right? So hopefully, when you leave today, you pick up some tips, you might pick up some apps, or you might just have some new ideas you'll be able to incorporate into the classroom. This is me as a younger man. Okay, I think that, I don't have as much as a receding hairline, as you'll probably see. But really, it's a little stock frame animation of me working with some teachers, because I think that working with teachers to start with is the most important thing, is to really get teachers comfortable with this process, with the process of animation. So let's have a look. Creativity and play, and of course the content there. So the science teacher thought, hey, that would be a great idea. I showed the students this experiment. Why don't I do a little bit of a stock frame animation there and see what it looks like? Okay. So it starts with play, it starts with experimenting, and it really starts with the teachers, as I've found. So I mentioned creativity, and you may already know that creativity has been said to be the highest order of thinking. Right? Who said that? Yes, you're right, it was Bloom. Bloom's taxonomy. Right? If we have a look at Bloom's taxonomy here, we have the updated taxonomy. Right? So that means that at the top there we have creating and evaluating as really the higher forms of thinking. And in that too, I want you to have a think about this, because there's been another updated one that I really quite like, and that's Kathy Schlock's update. In that, what she's done is she's taken creating, but she hasn't said, hey, that's the highest form. It is an important form, but it becomes a common, and it turns all of the other levels of thinking. Right, so let's think about that as we go through our speech today. And let me give an example of that. Okay, so we have creativity. A lot of people think, well, creating is making. That's it, and that's not for my classroom, because that's for the art classroom. But then again, if we look at some of these evaluation cards that I give my students, creativity impinges on all those different levels. It's when they're researching, when they're putting ideas together. It's when they are working together in groups, and it's when they're exploring materials. And let's go through just some of those advantages that animation presents to us, and then we'll get into breaking down them. Of course, it's collaboration. And I don't know if I've seen any learners more focused when they're collaborating and they're animating. Okay, working together as a group. I just find it as this amazing microcosm of a group work where each individual has to develop a different type of a task or a skill. There has to be a leader. Okay, that is directing. There has to be the technology specialist that's pressing the button as other people are moving objects. That sort of idea, working as a group. And then, of course, there's those people that are thinking, what next? Let's go and make this. So when they get up to that stage, we can incorporate that into the animation. And of course, all of these skills that I'm showing you are facilitated by the teacher. So the teacher is building the scaffolding for success all the way along. I'm a big advocate of social learning. And in the sense, the students are working together, they're problem solving together, working in teams. What a great way to do it when you use a material like sweets. I've done it with teachers, and I love doing it with the students. And I'm allowed to eat them until the end there, but transforming the material that they use will be lots of fun. And there you saw my students working with forest was the word, that was one of their houses. So they had to get in a team, work as a group, and we can move forest. Social social learning, once again, I've got to show you my guru of pedagogy, okay? And he's coined the phrase, or he hacked onto the phrase of social learning. But you may have seen Professor Sagata Mitra before, and his fantastic project that he's developing. But you know, if you look at him, his idea of collaboration and child-driven education, I really do like and appreciate. So I really recommend, if you've not heard about him, researching. So we're thinking about developing skills. Right? So we can think about developing knowledge, but there's also those wonderful skills that are woven into animation, and they're so useful. So when my students start a task, they will be shown the skills that they are going to be using within that task. It really brings relevance to their learning. Now here's a wonderful presentation here by a colleague of mine, and her name is Catherine Jessie, and I don't know if she's in the audience right now. Is the concept of using animation effectively in the classroom. And of course then balance that with the experimentation, the creativity. It just depends on what your drive and your focus is with your students. Here students are exploring with a variety of materials. What a wonderful way to look at materials and explore materials and use your technology. I find it a wonderful balance between material discovery and using technology. Sometimes within our virtual worlds we miss out on touch, tactile, the haptic type of learning that you get through touching materials. Animation brings that to us and really brings it alive. These are my students. They did a project on the bully machine. They called it the bully machine, and they animated a lot of ideas about a machine that slowed up and then was destroyed through problem-solving ideas they came up with about bullying. How can you solve bullying? A real-world task, combining with animation so they could really engage for their needs. And here's the first tip. I think that my animation has been transformed by a very, very simple toy. It's called a Nakayama stand, or some form of a stand, some form of a casing that has the 20mm thread in it that we can thread onto a tripod. Okay, so in my device, a tripod, or say example, one of these little beauties here is my gorilla pod. Right, that's another one. It has the standard 20mm thread on there. We can thread that onto my Nakayama case that you can see there, and it's set up, ready to do stop frame animation. Or if we set it up on a larger one, like this large tripod here, I can film with it, or I can just bend it over, and I can do a two-dimensional animation. All of these animations I'm going to show you now are two-dimensional. They really are on a flat surface, but I find that some of the images, especially if you want to look at concepts, you might not need to go into the three-dimensional gravity of trying to hold something up. We're really interested in developing students' concepts here. So let's look at some techniques. We're going to look at time-lapse animation, flip books. We'll look at stop frame animation. I'll break it down for you so you understand each of these concepts and give you lots of tips along the way. Some computer-generated iPad animation and some morphing. Alright? So we'll cover those areas for you. And then of course if you've got any questions about these later on, you can definitely come up and ask me, because I'm quite approachable really. Let's get started with time-lapse. I'm going to take you to a different place. Okay? Picture your summer holidays. And you're there in Venice. Right? That's the beauty of time-lapse animation, is that you can speed up processes, or you can speed up something wonderful that's happening before our eyes. And in fact, sometimes speeding things up, you notice things that you might not actually notice when it's real time. That's the thing that I love about animating. And the learning that goes into actually having a look at the sunrise, the science that goes into cloud formations is amazing. You can see I've used here on my iPhone an adapter just to put onto this gorilla pod here. So that's my little gorilla pod. I really like this one because not only is it a gorilla pod, I can stretch it over a bar. It also has a magnet, a very strong magnet, so I can stick it to anything that's metallic and then use that to animate with. And I bought that on eBay for £5. Yes, £5, ladies and gentlemen. So, you just need to have a look at some really nice addition to your bag of toys. Yeah. And as you saw there, I really like the Gorilla Cam because of the magnets that's really built into that, the concepts that you can read into there. The Gorilla Cam comes with a Gorilla Cam app. It's a free app. Okay? And in there, what you can do is you can set your capture time. So there's 2 hours of capture for that scene that you just saw there, and 20 seconds of playback time. Now, there's a lot of maths and calculating those frames per second that you can use to make a real type of a learning activity also. So I advise you to check that out. Well done. People thought I was mad. I've taken my my Gorilla Pod and I've put it on top of a monkey timer. Yes, a monkey timer. Doesn't matter what it is. I've actually honed and brought it to something a little bit more sensible. So when people see me out and about doing my digital documenting, I've put on top of a metal timer. £5 on eBay, ladies and gentlemen. £5 is all you pay for that lovely toy. Okay, and of course I've ended up with a 360 degrees stop frame animation by turning my timer, setting that with another toy, which is my iPhone connector. Connects a lovely iPhone in there, and voila, I've got a 360 animation. Oh, sorry, ladies. Sorry, I'll move on. But actually, all the stuff, like I said, is in my it's wonderful. But I do like people taking photographs of me. I just think it's fantastic. Take away, please, and then tweet me to me. All right. Has anyone heard about Clay and Scatzy before? Who's seen Clay and Scatzy? Put your hands up. Who's a Clay and Scatzy fan? Oh, we've got a gentleman at the back there. Well done. Okay, about 50 years ago they made... No, sorry. It wasn't 50 years ago, was it? It was about 15 years ago they made this movie. It was probably one of the first movies that they set up as a time-lapse movie. The whole movie was time-lapse. But amazing visions. We can do that now in our schools. This next project I'm showing you was a Clay and Scatzy-esque influenced video that looked at carbon footprint. Okay, so my students really all brainstormed in groups carbon footprint, how they could reduce the carbon footprint, or what things were involved in that, and then they did a lot of animations to display that to the school. Weave them together with our program, and voila, you have a lovely costume. Okay, here's now I like animation because it brings people together, and I did this with a group of people in Switzerland. But watch this guy here; it's really funny. He never moves. This is what I call a live photograph, and it was all done through a stop frame animation technique. Just setting it on time-lapse animation, just setting it up as time-lapse. And these people had to freeze for 10 seconds and then move somewhere else. Freeze for 10 seconds. What a lovely way to make a live photograph. It really bring your photographs to life. But another real problem-solving activity for an activity to your students. And once again, just documenting processes. Like I said before, it makes a focused learner. And if you set up the tripod on top of someone's table and set it to animate, documenting process. Oh, you know what? I have secretly been documenting a process right now, and I shall take you to that process. Let's have a look at this. Now, I'm going to delete this folder. Don't worry, you're not going to be on YouTube or anything like that. But yes, I have been taking a stop frame animation of you lovely people. Alright? So this application here is called iMovie. Yes? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press stop. And let's see the fidgeters out there. Let me see. Okay. Remember what I said before? It's quite amazing. You can capture processes that you might not have realised in the past. I have done this for a couple of my students to actually show and demonstrate to other teachers how much of our kinesthetic learners these kids really are. They have to move. Some of my kids really need to move around a lot to, as they progress. But then again, let me turn. Oh, that's correct. The computer says no, but it's probably you've seen enough of that. Okay, but what I've actually decided to do there is it's a great opportunity for me to demonstrate to you the difference between time-lapse and stop frame animation. So I'm just going to go back to home, and I'm going to say new movie. Right? Now I've got some choices here. I've got time-lapse animation, stop frame animation, which is the main one. Okay, and there's a couple of other ones like remoted and mic in there. So, for example, if I want to go to time-lapse animation, I just press start. Okay, I'm going to go to display and turn on my onion skinning. Yes, I did say onion skin. And some of you, I'm sure, who've done animation before will know what that means. This is going to click away happily and take photographs, but the onion skin will show me the photographs previously. So if you're going to be animating, you've got a shadow or a ghost of the previous photograph. What a nice way to animate and show arcs in your animation. Oh, there's another mathematical concept I've been talking about. I'm just going to cancel out of that one and take you to manual. Of course, when we go to manual and I press start, I need to actually take each individual picture and rotate it. To end up with a lovely animation of some smiley faces. Computer says, look, that hey, it's good. So I've been talking about documenting process. And once again, have a look at this, a science experiment. Why is it flashing light occasionally? Flash, flash, flash. What is that? Have I got a bulb? The bulb gone wrong in my experiment? Who knows? What is the flash? Thank you very much. It's the party time. It's day tonight. Okay, so this has been set up over 7 days, right? So my interval is set up quite big. So it will be one photograph every 5 seconds, every 5 minutes. Okay, and then from the start to the finish of that animation, it really did have a little bit of bottom angle. So nice focus strips together. I've recorded the whole process in their workbooks, and they're really validating everything back in their animation. Well, you know, it wouldn't be a presentation if I didn't show you my brown Bengal. Okay. I love my brown Bengal, and one thing I want to show you in here is the fact that I've drawn her in Procreate. And yes, we are still talking about time-lapse animation. And then within Procreate here, I have an export where I can export my artwork as a video. So in that sense, it shows me every single step along the way of my animating that lovely cat. You have to come and see me a bit later because the computer says no there. But never mind, I've got another example of this from an ADE because he's taken that concept. It's not just showing a process, an art process. He's actually really teaching his students using Procreate and then adding in some verbal or some descriptions afterwards. So let's have a look at what Mario has to say.
If you poke and prod at your abdomen, you might be tempted to think that your body is a solid mass of bone, muscle, organs, and tragically for some of us, fat. But it turns out that our bodies actually contain many important spaces.
Wonderful, thank you, Mario. As you can probably tell, he's an Antipodean like myself, working in Australia, and he used Procreate, like I said, just drew all his illustrations and narrated them. Now, it's such an easy way for students to do that in the classroom also. Just export their folder as to their camera and import it to iMovie, and you're off. Another great tip for you, and a good way actually to teach your students as a lead-in to stop frame animation, is having a look at flipbooks. You all know those flipbooks. You know, they're a lot of fun. But actually, sometimes when they get a little bit old, they don't work so well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of reanimate that idea of flipbooks. We're going to do a flipbook animation, and you can set this as a homework task really easily. Let me give an example of what we're going to create. We're morphing from one shape to another. Okay, so there is a universal shape there, and it just keeps morphing back to that universal shape. Okay, there's been about 5 students that have been involved in this animation to create that. But let me show you how to do that. One of my students has prepared a little animation for you. And what she says is, grab a plain sketchbook. On the back of the very last page, stick in a generic shape. So everyone has the same shape. They stick it in the same way. And now she's ready to take that shape and morph it as she turns each page into something else. Okay? And really that's up to the student's imagination. It's a nice little homework task to send them home to do that. Then they can come back and it's changed into something amazing. Okay? Or it's disappeared. It's really up to their imagination. And then what they need to do is they need to take that and, with iMotion like I've shown you, collect it to the tripod. They've animated it back, and then they've flicked it all the way to the beginning again. And then someone's come back into their mixed book. And what they've done is they've connected them all together in a very simple animation to do a morph sketchbook. Got it? If not, come and send me a video here. And let me give you an example, which actually gives you a really nice example. This wasn't registered, so it had no tape taped down to show the student where to leave their sketchbook. But it's still a really nice example of that type of morph. And also, actually, I really like Keynote as a presentation tool, which I'm using here now, because when you paste an animation into Keynote, you can just go to the movie settings and you can say loop. So suddenly, when you play back your students' lovely animations, you can loop it and you can just make it a lovely, because we can just stay here for hours watching this, can we? Let's move on. Here's another idea that I use with my students, and it is a digital documenting idea. It's the reason why using an iPad is fantastic for animation, because you get outside and you get out and about. This student has been exploring shapes. Okay? So this student is exploring shapes in the environment. It's the circle. Different shapes, different textures, using stop motion studio, which actually is really nice, because we're also able to draw in and illustrate different words into this. So there you go, we're flipping through with a really nice stop frame animation of what that student discovered in the environments of shapes. It's giving you a nice little feel of where they were. I don't know whether you'd be able to guess, but actually that was in San Diego. Another one. The student found this object in the environment and decided to animate a stop frame animation. Rotate, click, rotate, click. And of course, this sort of effect is amazing. Just look at all the cars and zoom past in the background there. Really quite nice. It's that magic. Sometimes that magic that you can create. These students came up with the idea of experimenting with hair. I don't know if you saw that. It's really quite nice. I might take that back again. But if I sort of think about the different types of hairdos that you could possibly have, they worked with clay and their lovely artificial eyes. Each time they pull their hands away, the hair toys miraculously stop. Great group work skills going on there, and fantastic creativity. Now that's the reason why I put those artificial eyes there, is because they make a really nice complement to your animation bag. And I also use things like mastercasts of faces that they can mix with them, turn into faces. Fantastic. A variety of materials, as you saw there, and masking tape. If you get into green screen, buy yourself a nice little roll of green paper. It's amazing. You can even, when you're animating, rip that away, rip the paper away, and then suddenly something's revealed. Because when you animate, what you're animating there is not the important thing, it's actually the image. Okay, question for you. What concept is this display? What was the concept that student decided to animate there? What do you think?
Time.
Well done. Lovely one. Now I like that one. That's what we haven't had before. It's seasons. And I totally agree, because you've got the different colours of leaves in there. What other concept could you think that they might be expressing? Or you think you could help the student understand in doing that? Anti-clockwise. Wonderful. Fantastic. As you saw, that was going anti-clockwise. It was a bit odd, wasn't it? Because it had a bit of a clicking sound in here too. So that's great. I mean, if we'd reversed that image and played that way, they could do time, the passing of time. Fabulous. Well done. Just such a simple way to look at concepts. And the carbon footprint once again. Not time lapse, but stop frame. Each little bit working on trying to express a concept. Trying to express that concept in visual form means you really need to grasp and understand it. And my students still remember that, and that was 5 years ago. I can still speak to them, and they remember the different elements of carbon footprint and the reasons why process. And of course, developing vocabulary. Now, I talk about training staff, and this is something I did with a group of staff here, just to talk about what is learning. What is the most important ingredient of learning? And you yourselves will be able to answer that in different ways. And then from that, we took that word and animated it, maybe to try to express our feeling within that. Oh, and then voice over to skills and knowledge. We had a lot of fun because those teachers, they used that those sweets also. Unfortunately, I think the teachers hate the sweets while they're animating. They're not as well behaved as students, I would say. And I've got this autistic boy, and he was having real problems with sequencing information. But lo and behold, he really amazed the teachers. He's actually quite talented at art. And you can see what he's done here is he's painted 4 canvases. Right? This is his initial starting with his canvases. It's a blink. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a blink. Okay? He processed that in his animation and then repainted a little bit more. And then processed it in his animation and repainted a little bit more to get to its final product. Oh, hello. Oh dear. I beg your pardon? Button right, there's a control panel. Thank you very much. There you are. Okay. Yes, please. It's always nice when you're here with a load of technical people, aren't you? He's done this 1,000 times before, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, it's really those problem-solving things that you can use with animation. And I had a group of really students that weren't very involved with their gallery visit, so I gave them the application. I gave them the animation application, and I said, explore this painting, tell us something more using animation. So this student was able to have a look at this picture, and then with stop frame animation, give us a little bit more information. In he went. In fact, he created a bit of a pop-art, op-art animation. And we're communicating an understanding of this painting. Of course, once again, I've just put a loop on clean notes, and away we go. This is a technique that I have to attribute to Catherine Jessie and from Hope Park School. It's a mat. Okay, you're saying to me, oh, there's so much creativity going on there, but really, I've just got some concepts that I want to teach. And sometimes the creativity gets in the way of the concepts. I know that with students. But hey, if you want to teach something, make it really simple and give the student a mat. Okay? And what I mean by a mat, I just mean like a worksheet where they can cut out the shapes already. They don't need to draw them. This here was teaching the students about proportion, all right? And then we just did a little bit of an animation of that student. First of all, starting off trying to find the correct proportion. And we went back and modelled that and still animated it to express them and show them the correct proportion. Okay? And lo and behold, we could play that backwards and forwards. They could play that backwards and forwards on their devices to be able to say, hey, look, I now know about proportion. And let me give another example of that. And this is an example from Catherine Jessie. What she does is, she doesn't get them to draw up the animation. What she really wants them to know is to see that they have understood the concept. So the students will be given a mat, they'll be given some counters. And in this activity, the students have been asked to show different types of states. Okay? So as you see here, they've asked to take these counters and model particles at each state. So this one here will be melting, and then this one here may be evaporating. And then they'll just animate those and show their understanding. And then once again, if you feed that into iMovie, then they'll be able to put a voiceover on top of that and explain themselves. What a great way to express their understanding. But I don't have an example of that, so we shall move on to something very complicated. Okay? I mean, this is really high science here. Don't ask me to explain it, please. But it is actually an example of an AD friend of mine who loves to use animation in his college classes to really make sure that people are really showing the concept. Concepts, because he understands also that if you can animate a concept, well, you need to know what it's all about. So we have one here of quite a complex concept that the students use plasticine to animate. And of course, the power of this too is putting the voiceover and explaining each of the stages within that process too. That really can concrete understanding. We have to really think too that it's the process that's so important. It's the process that concretes the information into the students.
So this is the.
Okay, so once again, Wesley is actually showing us how his students read voiceover. So I've just done 2 voiceovers there for you. You can see how the students will animate, then they'll add the voiceover to really explain their concept, using that as a teaching resource. It would be amazing to get your students to do teaching resources for next term. But then, I'm using that and saying, right, you're going to better that. You kids are going to do a better animation than that one. You're going to explain it better. Once again, here we go. We're assessing the concepts all the way. Okay, we can use our skill cards to have a look at the concepts that students are thinking about. What I told you I was going to show you about a computer-generated animation. This is just a wonderful way for students to work in 3 dimensions. Here, the student is transforming a bird into a plankton. So this student really has had to do a lot of research about plankton, the different types of ways that plankton might move, and then really think about how and what sort of plankton the students are going to show. And what amazing creations they've come up with, different shapes, different forms. It was made just absolutely wild if you research them yourselves. And then they've used their own designs and their own textures and painted them onto these objects. And the last one I want to show you, I really appreciate is morphing. And I'm not going to show you any Michael Jackson going black to white hair, but it is a great thing to do and fun to do with your teachers and your kids at school. But what I've done is I've taken this task, I've turned it into maths and art. So we've just taken very basic shapes and we've morphed them into other shapes using this wonderful application here. You can see they've morphed. Then when I press save, it will save me into 9 inclinations. That just worked out to amazing primary colour, secondary colour activity, colour wheel, and also shapes and maths too, which is a really nice way, and just a really nice way to show you about morphing. Because if we move there, we see our points. Within the morphs, our points will correspond in colour, and let me take you through and show you how that's done. There's 2 lovely animations, and the last one